Hello, and welcome to the Creative Mindset Podcast. My name is Isolde Trachtenberg, and I am thrilled to welcome you. This show is about vision and tactics. We will discover practical techniques to develop your vision of your creativity. We'll also discuss techniques to find the mental and emotional space, as well as the inspiration to create. And then we'll explore what it takes to spread the word about your creations so you can live your best and most creative life. Today's Creative Life is brought to you by an artist's date in Old Town Albuquerque. I've been wandering through all of the galleries, and the incredible artists are... Some of them are here, and they talk to you about their work, and they talk to you about their inspiration and their preparation and their perspective. And it's fascinating and fabulous when you hear people talking about the art they create. But then you also realize that they're salespeople. Nowadays, we don't have sponsors unless you go the Patreon route. We don't have an earl or a lord or a duke sponsoring us to create our art. And even if we did, often they got to dictate the art the artist created. And the artist was dependent on their sponsor, their patron, if you will, for their livelihood. What's interesting to me about that is that, like in the former Soviet Union, artists didn't have to work outside of their art, but yet they were only allowed to create and produce art in a very sort of narrow framework and a narrow set of ideas. So if you wanted to go outside of that, you'd be in trouble, perhaps criminally so. So as I sit here in the middle of Old Town Albuquerque and I watch people walk all around and marvel at some of the creations, I realize that few of us are buying. So the artist has made the art. They've taken a lot of time and trouble, and they hope that you will be interested enough and inspired enough by what they created to purchase it. Often we don't, and it's not because we don't want to. Often it's because we can't afford it. So you try to do something else, but you try to support the art, even if it's only to buy a greeting card, because some of the higher end items are just out of the price range. Certainly they are for me. So I have purchased things today, but only small things and in support of the artist to sort of show, hey, I honor you, even if I can't afford the $3,000 for the painting that I really love or the photograph that I really want. Not that there's anything wrong with charging for your art, don't get me wrong, but it's hard to afford sometimes. So it got me to thinking about the idea of which way is it better? Is it better to have a patron who will support you, but then get to dictate what you make? Is it better to go out on your own and therefore have to be a business person like the artists that I've met today? Sorry, you're hearing people speaking. It's, as always, live, raw, real, and unedited. So you're hearing people in the little coffee shop chatting. But anyway, so which way is the superior way? Where you have a sponsor or a patron who dictates to you how you will create and what you will create, or you go out on your own, you strike out, you are an independent artisan or artist living the dream, but you have trouble, unless you're one of the very few who make it, making ends meet. And even here, there are plenty of artists who have multiple galleries here and in Santa Fe and even in Taos, and then in other parts of the world like Las Vegas, Key West, and Paris. It doesn't matter much because there are only a few of them. And so when we had sponsors or patrons, there would only be a few artists that were sponsored. The rest would have to work and may or may not have been able to create their art in their free time, in their limited free time. So nowadays, it's much more of a level playing field. If you choose, you can forego sleep. You can forego going out with your friends. Why? Because you are busy creating your art. And when you spend time in a place like this, you see that people are trying to sell their art, but they're also really invested in living their lives. And so people live with roommates and housemates. They make all sorts of sacrifices in order to be able to afford to have a job that does not take all their time and still leaves them time to make and create and produce their art. It's a question for the ages. Which is superior? I'm still not sure, but I'll be thinking about it. Until then, I send you my love.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and please tell your friends about the community we're building here. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright Isolde Trachtenberg 2019. Today's music was from Kevin MacLeod, Laser Groove, and Ave Marimba, brought to you by Creative Commons License 3.0. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, I send you all of my love.